So tell me a little bit about this project of yours that you're working on. Sounds quite exciting.
Comfort Farms.
Yes.
It's a documentary. It is, well, I'll say it this way. As the story goes, it covers Comfort Farms is the name of the place, and it's a farm designed or set up to help. Well, it does a number of things. One, it's for rehabilitating or helping veterans work their way back into society. And it's also to help sustain the community with healthy foods, high quality healthy foods. Started by a guy named John Jackson, who was an Army Ranger, did 6 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, came back, was down and out, tried to kill himself. His son walked in the room while he was doing it, and he kind of had a change of heart. Yeah, and so he, finally just came to the point where he's like, I can't keep watching my brothers and sisters die this way, and I need to come up with something to do. So that's when he started it. So that's kind of where it takes place. But although it's called Comfort Farms and it explores Comfort Farms and John Jackson, the movie is not essentially entirely about Comfort Farms or John Jackson as far as like the workings of the farm and this and that. It's more than that. And it's not specifically about any particular veteran's issue. Like it's not specifically about PTSD or a veteran with PTSD or anything like that. It's more than that. It covers quite a few things. And I think it tells its story through juxtaposing 2 different things. One of those being the veterans' experiences coming back, and what they've seen with respect to how other veterans find it either difficult or what helps them kind of condition back into society. That and humane animal slaughter, which is something that they do on the farm. They raise animals like pets and treat them really well. They love the animals to death. And then, no pun intended, it might be kind of tactless. But anyway, they love the animals and they eventually, slaughter them for food in a very humane way. And both of these stories kind of intertwine along with, a few other stories with some various veterans and so forth. There's a World War II veteran that runs throughout it. Who tells kind of a few stories and his kind of take on coming back from war. And it all just comes together to create kind of a human condition document story. It's kind of almost like a narrative, but a documentary, and it really has a lot to say about the nature of life and death. I think love and sacrifice ultimately. And that's kind of what it is.
And what would you say was the biggest challenge about making this?
Biggest challenge off the bat, I would say, well, of course, money is usually, right up there at the top when you're dealing with a low budget or with a documentary, especially one like this that really had no funding other than a few donations to begin with. That was definitely a challenge. Still kind of is. In the stages that we're in now. I would say also trying to figure out a way to present this story in a way different than, I did not want to make just an info film about Comfort Farms or a info film about PTSD and veterans returning with PTSD. There are tons of those out there already. I would never marginalize that by any means, but I just didn't see what I could add to that. So it was a challenge trying to find the right angle when I was approached to do this. And I almost didn't do it until I met a couple of unique characters and immediately just kind of saw a lot of irony surrounding the place and found a direction to take it. But it was a challenge to find that direction. And it was also a challenge to I guess, dealing with the animal slaughter stuff, knowing what was going too far and knowing what was just enough to document the place and carry it forward. Because I know that that can be a controversial thing for some, especially for those who don't eat meat at all. You know, I've gotten a couple of pieces of negative feedback about them, but I mean, you can't please everybody. The trying to kind of know how much of that to put in there and how much not. Plus, it was kind of hard to watch. I'd never seen an animal slaughter before doing this, so it was a big deal to me. Kind of. But yeah, I guess those were the biggest challenges. Mm-hmm.
Now, did this make you become a vegetarian after seeing this?
No, it didn't. And I'll tell you, to be honest with you, one of the most interesting conversations I had there was with a vegan who happened to spend a lot of time at the farm. And she said, you know, I don't eat meat. And her reason for not eating meat was, you know, the farming aspects. And she didn't like how animals were treated and so forth. It wasn't that she didn't think people should eat meat or whatever. It just was more into the humane ideas of it. And she said, but you know, if you're going to eat meat, you should at least do it this way so that you can see what happens to an animal before you eat it. And you can make a conscious decision on whether or not you want to be a meat eater or not. But, you know, most people just kind of stand back and they don't ever see that process. So they never are faced with that kind of decision making thing. But no, it didn't drive me into being a vegetarian. I mean, I've always kind of known what was going on, you know, that something had to die in order for me to eat it. But I think a lot of people do kind of walk kind of blindly through life and never really pay much attention to that, which is kind of another one of the analogies I draw is in the film is that, you know, a lot of people go through life and they don't think about what combat soldiers go through or how many people are dying overseas, or they just kind of, you know, from the background hear numbers, but they don't really experience it. So they're both kind of things that once you see them firsthand or hear about them firsthand, might change your perspective a little bit. If nothing else, it teaches you to respect, well, in this case, respect the animals more, which is what they really do down there.
That's amazing. And what would you say was the most rewarding part about making this documentary?
You know, that's a good question. Most rewarding part. Maybe I would say just kind of, I guess I'd say, you know, the reward, or maybe that's not the word I'm looking for, the sad pleased me. And by that I mean I'm kind of picky. I've definitely been involved in the arts, you know, most of my life, and I have a very kind of, you know, particular kind of philosophy about that. I don't really like repeating things that I've seen before, so I really go out of my way to make sure that if I'm going to spend my time and effort on something, I want it to be at least a little different so people can get a different take, not just to be unique, not just for the sake of it, but, you know, I just don't see any point in throwing something out there that's already been done. So it was satisfying to go back and look at it and say, you know, this is unique and it's different. There were creative risks taken that some people are not going to like, as far as the way I shot it and maybe, you know, the way I structured the narrative or structured the documentary. But it was satisfying to me to do it that way, and that's what I settled on after a lot of edits. And I think that was the most satisfying. You said satisfying, right? What was the most
Satisfying and
Yeah,
rewarding.
that was the most satisfying. Yes, that's what I would say.
It's incredible, and it's amazing what you did. That you took two things that you would think were so vastly different and were able to bring it together
Mhm.
absolutely amazing. You should be very proud of yourself.
Well, I'm proud of myself. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah.
Good, good, good. That's what we like to hear. And are you working on anything else now, or what's next for
Well, yeah,
you?
I am. I'm always working on something. I got, well, I'm writing a couple things. So before I did this, I was mostly always into narratives, um, whether it be, you know, um, writing. I wrote some plays. They were all narrative, of course. Done a couple short films, were narratives. I did one documentary short, and all of the feature screenplays that I write, which I'm always writing something, have been well, obviously narratives if they're feature screenplays. But right now I'm working on a couple of those actually. One of them is something that I can hopefully afford to produce myself, um, and the other is something with a little bit bigger of a budget. But my next project, I think, definitely is going to be a narrative film, unless something pops up like this did. Like, I didn't go out looking for this one, Comfort Farms. It kind of just popped up, and I did it. But it wasn't something pre-thought in any way, shape, or form.
Wow, you are amazing. And what advice would you give to people that want to go into filmmaking?
Get a second job. No, really. I mean, yeah, I would. So I kind of came into it through a back door. Um, I well, I first started out as an oil painter years ago, and then got into doing murals and stuff like that. And then my undergraduate degree was in theater and English literature, and master's degree in philosophy. So I was basically on the path to starvation, but I chose to start taking on. I got into photography too, and I started to develop kind of a commercial photography business and get into commercial photography, and that led to some commercial film type of work. I found pretty quickly that I didn't really enjoy any of that. I don't really like commercials, to be honest with you, so that's a big problem with it. But I found a way to kind of keep myself going. Um, but there wasn't a whole lot of creative freedom in any of that. So if I had to do it over, I would have rather had a job that was less time consuming.
See, the dogs agree. The dogs agree with you that.
I agree totally. Less time consuming, paid more, so I could focus more on the creative aspects of it instead of having to force myself into kind of the technician's role, because that's just not really what I wanted to ever do. So that's my advice.
It's great.
Be
Yeah,
good
good.
at a day job. And,
Yeah.
that's
You got the approval of my mother's dogs. They
right.
do. They think you are awesome. They think your movie is awesome, and you
Oh,
haven't lived until you got the approval of my mother's dogs.
oh wow, yeah, that's a great honor. Yeah.
Yeah. And how about you tell me a fun fact about yourself that might surprise your fans?
Hmm. Fun fact about me. Mm, I don't know if there really are any fun facts about me. I don't know. What would be an example of something like that? So
Okay, I'll give you one of mine. I am so obsessed with the show Psych that was on USA Network that I've hidden pineapples all over my apartment.
okay. Um, well, going along those lines, a fun fact about me would be I never watched television.
Oh, wow.
Um, we have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 6-week-old.
Oh, congratulations.
And I'm always busy. We're always busy doing something. So I never watched television. I don't remember the last time I watched, anything. To be honest with you, So
wrong
the
with
fact about me would be that I'm really, really out of the loop. I'm just kind of, especially now that with the pandemic and everything, I don't even feel like I'm on Earth. I'm just kind of floating somewhere else.
floating? Yeah, I feel the same way.
All right.
Yes, congratulations on the new little one.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. When we get off this call, we could talk a little more about it. I love kids, so I'm really thrilled for you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. And where can people follow you on social media?
So there is a Facebook page for the movie, Comfort Farms. I believe it's Comfort Farms Documentary on Facebook. You just look up Comfort Farms Documentary on Facebook. Also, for anyone who's interested in finding release date, I have a producer's rep out looking for a distributor now. And hopefully it's going to be released VOD or maybe semi-tiny theatrical fairly soon. Anybody that wants to be updated about that can go to the movie page, which is comfortfarmsmovie.com, and one of those annoying little pop-ups will pop up, and if you put your email address in there, you'll be notified when the film is released. So those are kind of the two places to go.
Yes, I'm so excited for you. I cannot wait for it to be released. And we'll have to have you on again when it's closer to the release date so we could talk some more. And maybe you'll have some new projects we could promote too.
I hope so, yeah.
Yep, you're always, always welcome to speak with us.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you and have a wonderful day. And the dogs say goodbye too.
Bye-bye, dogs.
Bye, be safe.
You too.
Thanks, bye.